Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'm here to reveal some big news, arguably one of the biggest announcements we've ever made as a racing team. So rather than keep you all guessing any longer, I'll get right down to it. The next race, the final round of the 2021 Scottish Formula Ford Championship on the 10th of October at Knockhill, will be our last in Formula Ford. Just over a quarter of a century ago, Dad and I started tinkering with an old 100B kart as a bit of fun, and a few years later we started racing. For the past 22 years we have competed as a small family team on a journey that has taken us from karting to saloon cars and then single-seaters, and now, once again, the time is right for us to move on to something new. The next step for us as a team, and for me as a driver, will be into the world of sim racing, where the possibilities and opportunities are almost endless. And we'll be announcing more plans and news in the future, but for now I wanted to take some time to properly reflect on what is not only the end of our time in Formula Ford, but more significantly, the end of our time physically competing as a father and son team in the real world. Firstly, I have to say that this has not been an easy decision. It's one of the most difficult decisions I think I've ever had to make. And it's not one that we've come to easily or quickly. Indeed, the idea of life after Formula Ford has been in my mind for a couple of years now, and it was always a question I never quite had an answer to. Until the lockdown of 2020 forced us out of real-world competition. In the first instance, this allowed us to begin a journey in sim racing, in very similar fashion to how we began in karting, starting as a bit of fun and then gradually getting more and more involved and into it. But the experience also gave us a glimpse of what the future could be like once we decided to call it a day. So having sown the seed, it has been a constant thought ever since then. But in all honesty, it wasn't really until the last race in August that we made the final decision. Last time out, we found ourselves up against a driver I consider to be one of the most naturally talented I've ever competed against in any form of racing, and the reigning British champion to boot. We then proceeded, despite the competition, to take pole position in the dry, despite using old tyres versus the competition's new tyres, and then the fastest lap in both wet races, winning one of them. It was during the van ride home from the last race that evening that Dad and I had a long chat, and both came to the same conclusion, that we felt there was simply nothing left for us to prove as a father and son pairing. Competing in motorsport has been part of my life for so long that it has come to define me. Living from one race to the next, from one season to the next, always looking ahead to try and improve, it's a way of life for me, and it probably always will be. Something that intense and that prolonged is painful to let go of. And even as I sit here, it's a very emotional moment for me personally. But every sports person has to recognise when the time is right to call it a day. And I firmly believe that now is that time for us. We have achieved so much, infinitely more than we ever thought we could. Be that the multiple karting championships, the accolades and awards we've been presented with over the years, the trips away together to various corners of the country, fighting against the toughest competition, or the pinnacle of what is possible in single-seater racing in our country, the Scottish Formula Ford Championship title. There are simply too many good times and amazing memories for me to list here. But the truth is that while it's so easy to, especially after a good weekend, to keep wanting more and to experience that thrill of a pole position or race win one more time, and the last race, as I say, is a perfect example of that, you have to eventually acknowledge that nothing lasts forever. So as heart-wrenching as it is to definitively say goodbye to all of that, there comes a time when it is the right thing to do. And I wanted to explain to you all why we have decided that that time is now. First of all, we both feel this is the natural end of our journey. We moved from karting into cars, as that was an impossible dream that became a reality thanks to the AGF scholarship. We moved from minis into Formula Ford because we've always been in love with single-seaters, and the chance to compete in those cars ourselves was something that we just couldn't say no to. We kept pushing and gradually learning and improving over the years to try and win the Scottish Championship because we knew we could do it. And we did. And now we stand on the cusp of successfully defending that title. But now there is simply nowhere left to go. We don't have the resources to compete in the National Championship, or to travel regularly outside of Scotland for another series, so Formula Ford is out. I personally have no desire to return to saloon cars, so that route is not an option. And we definitely don't have the budget to move up to a higher category of single-seater. So here we are, we've achieved everything we can possibly achieve as a small family team in single-seaters, and we're very happy about, proud of, and satisfied with that. Another factor influencing our decision is quite simply time itself. It's a rather melancholy fact of life that time stands still for no one, and neither Dad nor I are getting any younger. I'm as passionate about competing, racing wheel to wheel, developing my technical understanding, working on car setup, and above all winning, as I've always been. But having done all that for 22 years and achieving everything we wanted to, and so much more, age is simply catching up to us. Whilst I feel as fit as ever in the car, and Dad's maintenance and car preparation are still of the highest standard, there's so much behind the scenes work that has to happen for us to compete at the front. In particular, Dad looks after the car himself in a small garage between races, and he puts in so much work to make sure it's in top shape for the next outing. So much that no one ever sees, apart from Mum and me. So much that, as I say, nobody else ever sees, and other teams have multiple people and bespoke facilities to achieve all that. He is, and always will be, my true hero and the foundation of every single thing we have achieved on track. But all that effort is what it takes to win, and the fact is we wouldn't be content to compete to a lesser standard. It all takes so much of your life and energy, and whilst the reward is more than compensated for it over the years, as I say, that there's nothing left for us to achieve, and so that reward is lessened somewhat. Everyone knows how important sponsorship is to us, and how we simply would not be here without it. We are eternally grateful to our unbelievable sponsors and partners, both past and current, who have given us this incredible gift over the years. But the time and energy needed to secure sponsorship and budget is, quite frankly, exhausting. I've always said that the hardest part of racing is during the off-season, when you have to try and put the budget together for the next year. And after all these years, it will certainly be a huge weight off my shoulders not having to worry about that this winter. Not that I haven't enjoyed it. I want to make it very clear it's been a fantastic challenge, and I'm incredibly proud of what we have managed to put together year after year, and how we present ourselves and the image and brand we have crafted in Scottish motorsport. But, like with the physical effort, when there's nothing new to achieve or accomplish, the reward for putting all that effort in diminishes. Finally, there's the risk aspect. Whilst the thrill of hustling a single-seater around a racetrack is unparalleled, and I've never felt more at home in a racing car as I do at the moment, there is no getting away from the fact that motorsport is dangerous. There have been far too many tragic reminders of that recently, and I have so many reasons not to put myself in such a position. My wife and my little girl are my absolute world, and I have no shame in admitting that the older I get and the more I see Holly grow into an incredible human being, the more the thought creeps into my head that, what if something happened to me? It doesn't bear thinking about, and I've always believed that when you start to think like that, it's naturally time to question why you are putting yourself out there. The risk factor also links in with the financial aspect, of course. What if we got tangled up and had a damaged car to repair? We've certainly been there before, and we've always come back fighting and stronger. But now, with that same feeling that we have nothing left to prove or achieve, I think a big expensive accident would almost certainly put us out for good. And that's definitely not how I want our journey to end. So how can we keep getting the thrill of competition, the challenge to progress and move higher in the sport, and the possibilities to race cars and circuits we never could in real life, all whilst incurring a fraction of the expense and with almost no safety risk? Sim racing ticks every box for us. Technology and realism have come on leaps and bounds in recent years, to the point that when I'm deep in a race throwing a car around a circuit against others on the limit of grip, it really does give me that same energy, excitement and thrill. And thanks to the wonders of live streaming, Dad can be a part of that journey as well. Arguably much more so than he ever can standing on the pit wall, seeing me once every minute go past. But, despite all of the reasons I've given over the past few minutes on what has driven our decision to finally call time in real world motorsport, I certainly do not want to come across as complaining about the effort, the time, or the commitments required to compete. It has been the highest honour for us to be in that position for 20 years, over 20 years, and all the hard times, tough moments, defeats, and yes, even the off-track politics and pettiness, were all more than worth it for the amazing high points, unique experiences, and unbelievable successes we've had. Not to mention all the incredible individuals we've met over the years. We will certainly miss you all. I suppose my main wish looking back on all that time is that we can perhaps be an inspiration to others. To any kids looking at racing cars and getting that same burning desire to race and win. To anyone who's been told that they can't do it, or they're not good enough, or, and this is the usual one, that it's too expensive. I hope our story can give you the motivation you need. We've truly shown that that old saying really is true. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. We started with an old trailer, some tools, and a beat-up old go-kart, but also a whole heap of enthusiasm. With nothing more than hard work, we became the Formula 4 champions of Scotland. And we achieved so much more along the way as well. The journey of success, the journey of highs and lows, it's all worth it. You can do that as well. So, on the 10th of October, we will say goodbye. But more importantly, we will say thank you. Thank you to all our sponsors, our fans, competitors old and new. Thank you to the officials, the marshals, the timekeepers, photographers, cleaners, security staff, canteen workers, every single person, from Boyndy to Clay Pigeon, from Knockhill to Anglesey, who have helped us, supported us, challenged us, and even argued and fought with us. Because all of you have helped to make the past 22 years the very definition of the journey of a lifetime. We've lived the highs and lows, the success and the failures, but most of all, we've lived it together. From a father and son playing with an old cart to a father and son champions of Scotland. Always a father and son having fun together. Dad and I have had some life in motorsport, and whilst it's now time to draw a line under our real world racing, we have so much to look back on and be thankful for, and so many moments that we will genuinely cherish forever. Thank you for listening, and see you in October at Knockhill one last time.